Welcome back to the Metro on WDET, Detroit Public Radio. The Detroit Police Department recently increased its enforcement of the city's youth curfew. Fines for the parents of kids out past 10 p.m. have rose from $75 to $200. Now, this is a response to an increase in violence among young people, including several shootings this month. The issue of teen violence recently came up at Detroit's Board of Police Commissioners community meeting. It's also started a conversation about how to better support young people in Detroit. Producer Jack Filbrandt talked to Detroit documenter Nadia Ziyad and coordinator Lynelle Herndon about solutions that are being talked about at meetings and in the community.
What were some of the really community solutions that people were talking about at the meeting? What would they like to see when it comes to supporting youth more in the city?
I think just anything. There were several organizations and opportunities that came up. I don't remember them all offhand, but it just kind of had to do with opportunities to work, opportunities for training and for learning, and mentorship and apprenticeship, and there was a real call for adults to take on the responsibility of guiding the youth into being, I guess, I can't remember the exact words that she said, but like better adults, like helping them find the way.
Nadia, one of the things that young people are really seeking is more opportunities to learn and grow in the city. How are the police providing an opportunity?
Yeah, the police department, they really want young people to come work with them, right? So the chief is very proud of like the GDYT program and how 500 of the people who are employed with GDYT are police cadets, right? They even have one-day hiring events happening on Saturday. They're offering these kids to come and work with the police force, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but when it feels like that's the only option, it becomes kind of a problem because we have stories of, this is a 19-year-old officer that was just shot in the hand by another 15-year-old, right? So when we talk about youth violence, we also have to know that putting our kids in the line of fire is not necessarily going to solve youth violence.
We also have a clip from Police Commissioner Linda Bernard talking about how this issue is affecting young people in many different ways.
But the children are on both sides of this issue. Mm-hmm. There are youth on both sides of this issue. And one, of course, is in blue, and one, of course, is not. And I know that poverty has an opportunity, have a lot to do with what's happening in the minds of young people. But the kids are, I have clients that are 30 years old that are grandmothers. So it's a different time right now. And I don't know what all of the answers are, but I do know that what you said is important, and that is that we hold them close, that we do whatever we can, talk to as many young people as we can, get them engaged, get them involved, and try to keep them on the right track.
It's the Metro, and we're talking to Detroit documenter Nadia Ziyad and coordinator Lynelle Herndon. Increased attention is being put on Detroit teens after several shootings and other incidents this month. Community members are asking for solutions and more support for young Detroiters. One of the Detroit Documenter's media partners, Chalkbeat Detroit, and reporter Allison Torres-Burkta, they published a story last week called Detroit Teens Describe Safety Fears in School, at Home, and on the Street. And what this article really does is get the youth voice of young Detroiters. They spoke to about 12 different teens in Detroit. And Lynelle, like you mentioned, a lot of the things that they're talking about in the article is more spaces for kids to be kids and be themselves and learn and have opportunities to really grow as a young person in Detroit. One of the things they also mentioned in the article are a lot of youth organizations that are already doing this work in Detroit too. For example, 482 Forward, which we've had on the Metro, Detroit Heals Detroit, and even the Detroit Phoenix Center. Nadia, can you talk about your experience being a young person living in the city?
Okay, so for one, my parents were absolutely terrified to let me do anything at all because they're like, Detroit is not safe. I remember I was 15 years old and I got put on punishment because I walked up the street less than a block away to the gas station. So, they were very serious about my safety. And I'm 21 years old. I don't know how to drive because when I was 16 and everyone else was learning how to drive, my parents were like, people in Detroit can't drive. You shouldn't be behind the wheel. You're going to explode, right? So there's a lot of that. And then as a young adult now, I'm looking for job opportunities, right? I'm getting told that college isn't going to be like the answer all the time. I'm getting like when I was very young, like, 5 or 6, my dad was working in a factory, right? He was working at Ford. And the idea behind that was that I wouldn't have to do work like that. But to get paid nowadays, it seems like the only options are like dead-end jobs and slave labor. Like we know what they're doing at Amazon. They're paying you for it, but nobody wants to experience that. So yeah, there's just like a sense of like hopelessness, and there's not a lot of agency that comes with being a young person in Detroit.
Yeah, I think what is really interesting too is generation to generation, how the experience of being a young person has changed. I know statistics have shown that more youth, more teens are working and holding jobs a lot more than they did in the past.
Yeah, for certain. Especially like me personally, I don't know anyone my age who isn't working like 2 or 3 jobs. And the few people that I do who like aren't working at all, it's because they can't find work. I know so many friends that are like, I've been on Indeed, I've been on LinkedIn, I go into the store with my application. Nobody is hiring me for anything, not even an entry-level job. And it's like the people who do get entry-level jobs are so dissatisfied.
Nadia, one of the things that it seems like is happening at a lot of these meetings too, when it comes to this conversation around youth, is not a lot of youth at the meetings and being a part of the conversations. I'm curious, how did you get involved in local government in Detroit, and how has that changed your perspective on the city and what you want for yourself living in the city?
Okay, for sure. And so I was literally like down bad, terrible, looking for somewhere to work. And me personally, I'm disabled. I got ADHD. So I'm like, I can't just work a regular job. I'll blow up. So I'm like, how do I do something that morally agrees with me, that is also useful and doesn't make me want to like peel my skin off? And I just got really lucky one day, and I was walking in the park, and a Detroit documenter like ran into me and interviewed me, and I was like, hey, can I have a job? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And so I got involved with the Detroit documenters, which kind of introduced me to local government, and not only introduced me, but paid me pretty decently for local government, because it's like, the more that you're involved with it, the more you can make out of it. And so that basically kind of gave me some agency over my life that I feel like I probably couldn't have gotten anywhere else.
I think Detroit Documenters it's a great way for young people to get involved and learn about their community. But it's also challenging for young people in general to kind of get into these public government spaces. I'm curious what advice you have, and why do you think it's important for young people who might not be in that voting age to still learn about what's going on?
We have a few youth, but we would love to get some more. I think the thing that presents a challenge a lot of times is a lot of these public meetings are going on during school hours, but we do have after-hour opportunities. And I think what's cool about it is you can come train with us. You can come learn how to do this work. You can take the work when you're available on your schedule. And we do have other opportunities outside of public meetings, as Nadia hinted at. I would love to tell you more about it. Join us for orientation August 21st online on Zoom at 6 p.m. We only have orientations 4 times a year, so you definitely want to tap in now. And then whenever you're available to do the work, we get you trained, we get you ready to go to these meetings. I would say most probably Detroit documenters haven't been to a public meeting before, or don't do this on a regular basis, don't follow government, don't know what they're getting into. And that's why we're here to help you. We're going to train you. We're going to pay you. And I think it's very, very valuable to have the youth voice in these conversations, and it is absolutely missing. I will mention that when you're on assignment with Detroit Documenters, it's not the time to pipe up with your opinion, but we do have space for that in your notes. We do have space for that in our conversations. We make space for that, like right here on this show.
Another great way to understand and figure out what is going on in Detroit is Outlier Media's Get Involved page. I want you to explain what the Get Involved page is, but I also know that there is an opportunity for people doing the work in the city to get on the page themselves and share the work.
Totally. Get Involved is maybe one of my favorite pieces of my job, which I say about a lot of pieces of my job. I'm very blessed to do this great work and be able to work in something that I care about. And so every week we write this listing. It's called Get Involved, and it's kind of a list of all types of civic opportunities that you can get involved with, from, volunteering in your neighborhood to trainings that are being offered to jobs that are being offered. And so there's just a plethora of opportunities. I update it. We update it every week. And if you're doing some of this work, if you have civic opportunity to offer, particularly for the youth, definitely you can email that to us at documenters@outliermedia.org. And we'll try to put it in the listing as well, or we can have a conversation about it. And I'll take a brief moment to uplift a couple other things that Outlier has, which is the SMS system. You're able to text in any question that you have, or even a concern if you want to talk to a reporter. You start it out by texting Detroit to 67485, and then you can follow the prompts, and you can also just enter the word reporter, and someone in Outlier Media's newsroom will get back to you with a response. So I think that's really, really cool. And the last thing is we also have a Get Busy listing, which is arts and culture and different events like that going on in the city, a lot of them from local artists, young people. So get out here, get those tickets, support the youth, and support the neighborhood.
That was Detroit documenter Lynelle Herndon and Detroit documenter and Metro producer Nadia Ziyad. They were speaking with Metro producer Jack Filbrandt. We recently talked with Detroit Police Chief Todd Bettison about the changes to Detroit's curfew fines. He said the fines are meant to encourage parent accountability and prevent those parents from greater problems down the road. You can find the full conversation at WDET.org. This is the Metro on WDET, Detroit Public Radio. I'm Robin Vincent. WDET, as you have probably heard, has officially lost all of its federal funding, and that amounts to hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. And these cuts are pretty major for WDET. Now, the station isn't going anywhere but locally produced programs. Programs like what you're listening to right now, the Metro, are at risk. Now, there is something that you can do. WDET is looking to add 1,000 new members. So join the WDET community and the fight to protect local news, the fight to protect democracy, and the fight to protect Detroit-made public radio. Go to WDET.org/give. And I'm joined by WDET's senior producer, Dave Lyons, in the studio now. Dave, why should people give?
Because community radio is better. Community-funded radio is better. It's better than network cable news that's filled with people you don't know yelling about people you hate. It's better than computer-generated playlists that play the same 40 songs over and over again. Community-funded radio will surprise you with songs you forgot about and perspectives you haven't heard. It'll be there when the lights go out, when the storms roll in. You know WDET will be on and tell you exactly how to stay safe and how to be safe. It'll keep you informed, like when the U.S. Capitol was under attack. It'll keep you informed and safe when the world shuts down and a pandemic takes over and you don't know what is next. Community-funded radio, like WDET, is better, but it's a lot more expensive, and it takes a lot more people. It takes you. Our greatest strength is in our community. Support WDET because we are by and for the public. That's it. Go to WDET.org/give. Help make us stronger than ever. Fight for your neighbors, your friends, your family, and for yourself, because that's what WDET does, and that's what we need you to do as well. WDET.org/give. We have a 1,000 member drive going right now. We've got 456 right now. We need to hit 1,000 to make us strong for the future.
If you've been listening for a long time or you just started listening yesterday, now is the time to give to support WDET, because when you do that, when you support WDET, when you give a gift, you are showing your values that include strengthening democracy, that include holding powerful people accountable, that include protecting and preserving the voices and the ideas and inspiration that continue to uplift Detroit. WDET has been an institution, a Detroit institution, for 76 years now, and we're not going anywhere, but we are in threat of changing a lot, of losing a lot of the programs and the people that truly make this station, that make the news what it is, that make it informative and unbiased and something that you can depend on 24/7. So please head over to WDET.org now and make a gift to show your support for local journalism and democracy.
Yeah, make that gift because you believe in public radio, but also maybe because you're still upset. You're upset that federal funding for public media, federal funding that has supported shows like Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street and All Things Considered and Fresh Air and The Metro, because there's been thousands of programs. Thousands of people, millions of people have benefited from these programs over the years. It's made us a more informed, educated public who, let's face it, shares values about caring for each other, caring for our planet, caring for our country, and being open to new ideas that we don't know about. That's the curiosity that public radio, public television have always stood on. And that's what WDET stands on as well. You're listening because you're curious, because you want to know more about Southeast Michigan, more about Detroit, how we connect with the world, how we connect with the rest of the United States. That's why you listen to the Metro. But you have to go to WDET.org/give and support this show and all the other shows you listen to on WDET or other public radio, because we are a system that desperately needs support right now. This show and other programs that are locally produced around the country are at risk. That's the only way to say it. WDET is not going anywhere. We don't know what's going to happen to the Metro, but we do know that there's a significant financial risk ahead, and it's at our doorstep now. We thought it might be a couple years off, but the money that we thought we had from CPB, it disappeared for next year. It disappeared for the year after that. It's a Metro-sized hole. We need our members to step up right now. 1,000 members is our goal. We've got 456 in the door. Step up. WDET.org/give.
Send the message to powerful leaders now that our journalism cannot be silenced, that our community services are essential. Coming up, there are many food festivals throughout the summer in Detroit that celebrate the many cuisines in the city's food scene. One this weekend highlights a renowned Southern side dish. Stay with us on the Metro for more. This is WDET-FM, Detroit Public Radio, your connection to news, music, and conversation. And this is the Metro.